Do you control your money or does your money actually control you? Look, if you're currently living paycheck to paycheck, you already know the drill. The stress can literally keep you up at night. But I have some really good news for you. Financial stress isn't a character flaw, it's just a solvable math problem. Today, we're diving into a highly structured roadmap that's going to take you straight from financial survival mode all the way to long-term wealth. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to synthesize some absolutely fantastic source material from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, The Invested Mom, Waypoint Budgeting, and Dave Ramsey to build essentially a masterclass in personal finance. No matter how messy or disorganized your bills might feel right now, there are clear, proven strategies that can fix it. You can totally do this. So, here is our four-part game plan for today. First, stopping the financial bleeding. 2, frameworks to budget better. 3, apps to execute your plan. And 4, the baby steps to wealth. All right, let's jump right into part 1, stopping the financial bleeding. You know, you really can't build a skyscraper on a crumbling foundation, right? And you definitely can't build wealth if you're actively drowning in past due bills. So this first step is all about financial triage. If you literally do not have enough cash in the bank to pay everything this month, the CFPB recommends prioritizing based on risk. You have to look at the top of the list, things you absolutely need to keep or get a job, like your car payment or gas, and things you need to stay housed, like rent or a mortgage. Because think about it, if you lose your car, you lose your job. If you lose your house, things spiral incredibly fast. In a full-blown crisis, lower risk obligations like credit card bills or your streaming subscriptions, those just have to drop to the bottom of the pile for now. You have to protect the four walls of your life first. Now, when you do fall behind, the phone starts ringing. But hey, don't panic. You actually have strict consumer rights against debt collectors. By law, they cannot call repeatedly just to harass or abuse you. They can't use obscene language, they can't lie or make misleading statements about what you actually owe, and they absolutely cannot publish your name for not paying a debt. Just knowing this immediately puts the power back in your hands and takes the stress down a notch. But the CFPB is super clear about one thing. Whatever you do, do not ignore debt collectors. It might feel way safer to just silence the phone and pretend it's not happening, but that usually just leads to court judgments against you. Instead, you need to take action. Ask them for written verification of the debt. If it's a mistake, dispute it right away. But if you do owe it, you still have options. You can negotiate a payment plan, or you can often settle for a much smaller amount than what's actually owed. You just have to take control of the conversation. Okay, moving right along to section 2, frameworks to budget better. So once the immediate bleeding is stopped, we move to phase 2, which is establishing a baseline budget. You've got to have a system, and we're going to look at 2 highly effective frameworks to manage your cash flow. First up is the 50-30-20 rule, outlined beautifully by the Invested Mom. It's a wonderfully simple framework. You just take your after-tax income and slice it into 3 parts. 50% goes to your essential needs, housing, groceries, utilities. 30% goes to your discretionary wants, dining out, hobbies, maybe that Netflix subscription, and the final 20% goes strictly to savings and debt repayment. It's really fantastic because it's a broad guideline. It makes sure your essentials are covered, but it still gives you permission to actually enjoy your life. But what if you need a little more precision? Well, enter zero-based budgeting, which was highlighted in the Waypoint source. This is a totally different philosophy. Instead of broad percentages, you take your total monthly income and you assign every single dollar a job in a specific category until you were left with exactly $0 unassigned. It forces you to be incredibly intentional before you spend a single dime. So if you want to save $500, you assign it to the savings category before the month even begins. Looking at these two side by side, the 50-30-20 rule is pretty relaxed. It's a big picture rule of thumb that's honestly great for people who hate tracking pennies. Zero-based budgeting, on the flip side, is strict and precise. It requires you to actively track your money. And here's the thing, neither one is wrong. It just depends entirely on your personality and how much control you need to feel secure. Which brings us to section 3, apps to execute your plan. Because a framework is really just an idea until you put it into practice, right? Looking at the current landscape of budgeting apps reviewed by Waypoint, we have a few heavy hitters. There's YNAB, which stands for You Need a Budget. It is a total powerhouse for pure zero-based budgeting, though it's a bit pricey at about $15 a month. Then we have Waypoint Budget, which offers a really robust free tier, or you can get bank syncing for around $8 a month. Good Budget is a great digital envelope system for $10 a month. And finally, EveryDollar, which is Dave Ramsey's app, sits at about $18 a month for their premium tier. So, which one should you pick? Well, the source breaks it down perfectly based on your specific setup. If you're a dedicated budgeter who loves diving deep into data and you don't mind a bit of a learning curve, YNAB is absolutely the gold standard. If you're a beginner looking for great value and a simpler, cleaner setup, Waypoint is your best bet. If you budget as a couple and you love that old school feel of filling up visual cash envelopes, Good Budget is phenomenal. And of course, if you are strictly following Dave Ramsey's exact methodologies, every dollar is tailor made just for you.
All right, let's get into the really fun part. Section 4, Baby Steps to Wealth.
So, we've stopped the bleeding, we picked a framework, and we selected an app to track it all. Now it is time for the aspirational phase, long-term wealth building. We're using Dave Ramsey's famous baby steps framework for this. The first 3 steps are all about building an unbreakable financial foundation. Step 1 is a fast cash emergency fund. Sell things, work a few extra shifts, just get a starter fund saved immediately. Step 2 is the debt snowball. You attack your debts from the smallest balance to the largest. This gives you super quick psychological wins and builds massive momentum. Step 3 expands that initial cash stash into a fully funded 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Once you check that box, the financial danger zone is officially in your rearview mirror. And here is where we finally shift from defense to offense. Baby step 4 introduces the magic number, 15%. With no consumer debt and a fully stocked emergency fund, you now take 15% of your gross household income and you invest it directly into retirement. We're talking 401ks, Roth IRAs, or traditional IRAs, all spread out across diverse mutual funds. This is that beautiful moment where compound interest finally starts working for you instead of against you. Let's zoom out and look at how the rest of this timeline plays out as your money compounds over the long haul. You're investing your 15% in step 4. Concurrently, in step 5, you start saving for your children's college using tools like a 529 plan. That way, they don't have to start their adult lives buried under student loans. Step 6 is incredibly powerful, paying off your home early. Throwing extra money toward that mortgage principal is going to save you literally tens of thousands of dollars in interest and gives you total 100% ownership of your living situation over time. And that brings us to the absolute pinnacle of this whole roadmap. Step 7, build wealth and give generously.
And that brings us to the absolute pinnacle of this whole roadmap. Step 7, build wealth and give generously.
Just imagine it for a second. Your home is completely paid off, you carry absolutely zero debt, you have a massive safety net and rapidly growing retirement accounts. This is the ultimate goal. The source material points out that this is the time to truly live, to have more fun, and to prepare an inheritance for your future generations. But perhaps most importantly, it's about experiencing the kind of profound financial peace that actually allows you to be radically generous to others. Well, we have covered a ton of ground today, from prioritizing bills in a crisis right up to building true generational wealth. But remember, understanding the framework is really only half the battle. Execution is everything. Whether you decide to use the 50-30-20 rule or you want to get down to the pennies with a zero-based app, the power is completely in your hands now. So I want to leave you with one final thought. Take a look at your bank account today. What job will you give your next dollar? Because the exact moment you start telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went, your entire life changes. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Now get out there, take control, and start thriving.